Well, Troy, the models do look like they are showing some cooler conditions this weekend, but much more in an improvement as we move through the week. And in fact, preliminary looks with the models indicates a very nice Thanksgiving Day and potentially a very nice Thanksgiving weekend, as the models for the past 2 weeks when we did the tapings were indicating a potential of a very large, significant storm system somewhere in the central and southern plains have completely backed off on that, as we have a very powerful upper air low moving into California, and it's going to push the ridge downstream from it, blocking its movement temporarily. And so we are going to see much of the activity along the western United States and some of that energy slipping to the south of us, but bringing that energy into the central United States does not look to be in the cards, which is a good thing. I'd rather it be nice than to deal with a lot of traffic headaches. And in fact, for the harvesting activity, whether you couldn't ask for much better conditions as we go through next week, and that should help us wrap up much of the soybean harvest outside of a few fields and bring our corn harvest back basically up in the 85 to 90% completion range. So as we look at the upper air models today, we have this trough that's going to be digging toward the south, pushing cold air toward the west, and as it does so, that'll create upslope flow conditions in the panhandle, part of what we call an orographic lift, enhancing snowfall as this cold high pressure system builds toward the south. In the eastern part of the state, not a lot of moisture to work with, but in the west we may see some accumulating snowfall, and it could be moderate in some places. Now as we go on the day on Sunday, the trough begins to lift out. We see that ridge trying to push into the western part of the state, so we'll start to see some improving conditions in western Nebraska. Unfortunately, this cool high pressure will keep conditions below normal in eastern Nebraska, and we'll actually see the snowfall probably exiting out of southeast Nebraska during the early portion of the day. And then this trough basically sits here for one more day as that high pressure tries to expand toward the west. There does see a couple surface lows indicated on Monday to develop to our southwest and our east, but the moisture down in the Gulf remains there as an upper wave moves through, and that's going to cut off the flow. So as we go into the day on Tuesday, now we start to see the ridge expanding, and our temperatures are going to improve rather dramatically. Good 5 to 10 degrees. We'll be back up near the 50-degree mark easily as high pressure is firmly in control across the central plains. Look at the absence of precipitation. It's all down along the Gulf, along the eastern seaboard, and we start to see signs of some of that moving into the western United States as early as Wednesday as that continues to push the wedge even farther eastward. Low pressure in the Texas Panhandle has no moisture to work with. It's all cut off from the system moving along the Gulf Coast. That keeps us high and dry here in the central United States, so we still have good harvest activity weather. And then that ridge starts to really expand to our east. And I would not be surprised that we might even see some 60s and maybe even a 70 in southwest Nebraska if we get enough warming as this ridge builds into our region. Again, trying to develop a surface along the Texas Panhandle, but once again, that moisture slowly moving along the Gulf Coast. No moisture return. And then we see the first piece of energy coming out of that western U.S. upper air low. That starts to move across the central Rockies, but it does not have any moisture. It's moving rather rapidly, so the surface low in the Texas Panhandle just doesn't have a return moisture flow to it, so it looks like a fairly dry frontal boundary passage as most of the major activity remains off the western seaboard. Now as we go into the 8 to 14 day forecast from next Thursday through the following Tuesday, I think that we probably see a little bit more warming than what this is indicated, and more widespread, basically all the way into the Ohio River Valley as that upper air low tries to pivot into the western United States. In terms of precipitation, from what I'm seeing from the models, it keeps most of the moisture to the south of us and overplays a lot of the northern part of this, particularly Nebraska, and points to the north. So Troy, it does look like most of our inclement weather will be this weekend, and then a very nice week ahead of us.